obviously it's it's been a great ride, and I think for me it's something that I love to do, and I think as you look back on it and realize all the things that you've been able to be a part of and be fortunate to be somewhat successful at, it's been fun. Obviously, I'm not going far, so I guess I'll just be sitting on the other side of the table. Asking the questions, but it's been a great ride, and appreciate everything that's you guys have done for me, and whether they're good questions or bad questions, I guess doesn't really matter, but it's been fun. I appreciate what you guys do.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Kevin, obviously a lot of speed here back in the spring. Have you do you feel like you guys could go out there and win this race on Sunday and ride off into the sunset with a win?
Well, we did run good, and I think as you look back at just the history of everything that we've done here, it's been okay. So we've been rather hit or miss this year, but I think this is a place, no matter how your season has gone, you come to with the expectations of running at the front of the pack. So hopefully that's what we can do.
Hi, Kevin. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. So now this is it.
That's it.
Does it feel any different? Are you taking things in a little bit differently? What makes this weekend maybe a little bit more different than all of the ones leading up to?
Yeah, I think for me, all the weeks leading up to this particular one were really not that hard. I think this week was a little more difficult just because it is the last week, and with your guys and the people and everything that you do is actually coming to an end. I don't think up until this point, I don't think anybody really thought it was real, and this week it's pretty real. So I think that this week has been definitely different than everything leading up to this, just because of the fact that there isn't a next week. There's been a next week up until this week. So look, it's very different. The things that we have to do going forward, but it's all planned out. And I think as I talked to Dale and Dale Jr. and just he was in a very similar situation, whereas the TV piece of it was planned out, the race team piece of it's planned out. We have a management company, we have golf cart stores, all those things are already functioning. And I think it would be much different if you weren't closing the book. And I think for me, I feel very fortunate to be able to open the book. And obviously our first chapter was a little bit different than most people's, but it's the time that we chose to be able to say, okay, this is it, and this is going to be the last week, and coming to Phoenix and racing here for the last time. When you used to come here and race just for a hobby, right? And you look forward to coming to this particular racetrack on Cup weekend and in February for the Copper Classic every year. As a West Coast racer, that's what you did. So it is a little bit different. It's a lot different than the weeks past because there isn't a next one. Yeah, I think Piper, for weeks Piper's been like, Dad, why do you have to go to the next one? You're already retiring. So she's pretty much over it. Keelan's terrified just because of the fact that he knows that I'm going to be at way more races than what I was before, and he knows that I'm going to be all over him, a lot more than I am right now. Right now he can go off and do his thing and race, and Dad's not there to critique every single move that he makes. So that party's over. And but I think it's fun. Piper told Cheddar earlier. He said he asked her. He said, so what are you looking forward to the most? She said, well, Dad's going to come watch me race, so that'll be fun.
Oh. All right, we'll go to Jeff Cluck.
Kevin, when you came in, the weekends were longer and you guys had to go test more often, but you also didn't have like a lot of the midweek stuff, like whether it's looking at SMT or maybe video and things like that. And also a lot of drivers now, it seems like, you pretty much had consistent sponsors, but a lot of them have more sponsors that ask for more appearances. So, do you think overall that drivers, when you first came in, were busier and had more on their plate than today, or is it the opposite and today's drivers have way more on their plate?
It's just different, and I say that not trying to be a smart aleck. It's the demands on the time are not as much as they used to be, because I really think since 2009, when everything crashed and COVID, the demands on your time from an appearance standpoint and from testing standpoint and days at the racetrack are much less than what they used to be. I think it's the tedious work that comes with the details that go into the video and the data and everything that comes with that. And really, from the driver's standpoint, you're a part of an equation, and you have to be pretty involved in everything that's going on to be able to understand the ins and outs of the equation, to be able to make a difference. Otherwise, you're a hindrance to really the whole system, and you never really get anywhere, right? And if they hit on something, then you have a little bit of success, but it's never going to be consistent unless you really understand how to be a part of that equation. So I don't think that to me, it's a lot easier than it used to be, just because you don't have to go to do so many sponsor appearances. Even though you have more sponsors, there's still not a huge demand on your time like there used to be from an appearance standpoint, just because of the way that companies utilize your time is just much different because of the way that they do events and things compared to how they used to do it with free-for-all marketing accounts, budgets that you just had dinners and different things all the time. So, but I still believe that one of the biggest challenges that many of our young drivers have is really time management and trying to get that circle of life and balance to make yourself realize that you're really not that busy and figure out how to do a lot more things in a short amount of time and still be able to function. So a lot of it just comes with structure and organization, and I think that's one thing we stress a lot to our young guys is, hey, how do we get your circle of life in balance so you can do more, because you're really not doing that much. It's not that hard.
All right, Nate.
Nate Ryan on NBC Sports on your left again. The end of your career is not just like the end of your career; it's also sort of an end of an era for NASCAR. Generationally, there have been 6 champions who were born in the 1970s. Gordon, Johnson, Stewart, Kenseth, Kurt Busch, and yourself, and you're the last one to hang it up. So, and not just those guys, but Carl Edwards, Dale Jr., who you mentioned, Ryan Newman. There were a lot of great drivers from the 1970s, from like the Gen X sort of generation. So I'm wondering, like, have you thought about that at all, or is there any sort of sense of pride about what you and your contemporaries, your peers, have accomplished as it comes to an end?
Well, I think when you name that list, it's a group of guys that came in at a great time, because you got to race against the guys that were just ending their careers in the early 2000s, late 90s. And then you got to go through a new generation of guys that you came up with, and I guess I don't know how many there are, but there's a number of us that went through almost 20 years of it together, and you really blocked out a whole generation in between for the most part, just because you had so many guys that were so good and able to be successful. But we also came through at a time when the sport was just out of control with money from a sponsorship standpoint, and all the team owners were looking for the next great driver. So they started their Busch Series teams, and everybody had a Busch Series team. And so we were at this fortunate time when the Cup Series team owners were just looking for anybody that might have a chance, and you could find funding to fund that program with all you had to do is just say you were starting a program, and you'd have 2 or 3 opportunities for sponsorship. So, and that's how it was really as you went through. For me, when we decided that we were going to go Cup racing, we had 3 sponsors, and we had to decide which one we wanted, and that was at a very unique time in the sport, and I think I'm very fortunate to have raced in the previous generation, to come through with the guys that I did, and now really for me, I'm in a fortunate spot to be able to see the whole next generation starting, and you have some really young guys that are in their early 30s, late 20s, mid 20s. And now I get to take that and have raced against most all those guys that are going to be here for a long time and go up in the TV booth and I already know them all and have raced against them and have a relationship with them. And so it's just we came through my generation of racers came through at a very unique time that was just really fortunate to get to race against the previous generation, my generation, and the future generation, to see all those changes in cars and tires and racers and styles of racing. And we went from trial and error to simulators and simulation and all iRacing and everything that comes with the sport now. And when we did that before, you just go to the racetrack and you'd cut the cross member out and you'd drill holes in the frame, and you just tested and tested and tested and tested at the track, and now you don't do it that way at all. So, but that's one thing I've always, whether it was my race teams or the race team that I have now, it's evolve or die, right? Because this is an evolution process that is never going to end. Because there are engineers and smart people, and you always have to keep your head up and your eyes open, or you're going to miss something and get left behind. And I think with some of the generation of guys that were going out when we were coming in, they were very stuck on, these are the springs that we need to run in the car. You can't do this and you can't do that, and they quickly got left behind. And to me, I remember that like it was yesterday. And you look back at those guys and you're like, man, if they would have just kind of just followed the evolution of the sport and let it come to them, they'd have still driven it fine. They just wouldn't have known what springs were in the car and what shocks were on the car and where it was going to go next, and whether it was high or low. It still went around the racetrack. It just went around the racetrack faster. But that's what we do. And if you the days of knowing everything that's in your car and knowing how it works, that you almost need to forget that, because you're just interrupting the process of all the smart people that work on the car to make it go faster and find something new and make a better part or piece. And so there's just a lot of things that have changed, and I love that part of it. I love the evolution of watching it change, and that's always been something that I've taken pride in being able to be a part of that change and still be successful at what we did. The next generation is, I think it's just a different. I think it is. And I think with, I think guys like Joey Logano are going to be great leaders. They already are. You see some of the younger guys start to speak up in the meetings, and I can't wait to continue to be a part of those meetings as we go forward and listen to it evolve and grow and change and see who the new leaders become, and because that's the process, and that's how it works. And there's a lot of really good racers, and now I think you'll see guys evolve into leaders that you might not have expected, and so yeah, I mean, that'll be fun for everybody to watch and learn. But you've also got some guys that have been here for a while that'll do a good job.
All right, we're going to go to Jenna.
Hey, Kevin, Jennifer, AP. Everything you've gone through, learned good, bad, and different, what do you not want Keelan and Piper to do?
What do I not what?
What do you not want? Everything you've learned, everything you've done and experienced, what do you not want Keelan and Piper to do?
Well, the one thing that I tell Keelan is, I always tell him, I'm like, hey, we'll get into some sort of disagreement of why you should do something or why you shouldn't do something, and I'll always tell him, he'll say, well, you did this or you did that, and I said, I'll tell him, that's exactly why I'm sitting here telling you not to do that. If you'll just shut up and listen, I'll make you better. It's not very hard, right? I've already been down this road, and I've already made this mistake, and really that's one of the great advantages that we have, where, from the management side is, if you'll just listen, I'm not telling you this is how you have to do it, but just listen to me. And then you take it and you evolve from there, but don't make the simple mistakes. And I think from Piper's standpoint, she's still trying to figure it all out, and but Keelan's pretty easy because he's a lot like me. He's a lot like me in the way that he acts, the things that he does, and things that he says. But he for me is very coachable because of the fact that I know his next move. Like, it's really simple. So, I think for him, if he'll just listen and not make some of the same mistakes and just have a better starting point, then he can take it and evolve from there. And if we can make his sister just be in charge of everything, she will definitely take charge. So that seems pretty easy. If it were me, I would just say, I would, before I had kids, I would say I don't ever get involved in racing. You don't want to do it. It's not the lifestyle that you want to live. And then you have kids and you look around and you realize, man, this is really what my life is all about. I love racing. And that really came from watching Keelan race and watching him grow to love the sport and watching the other parents and the other kids and everything that they did was all about racing because they loved going to the racetrack and it brought them together. And that's really that's what I've done my whole life. You get in this mode where you walk in the racetrack, you've got your head down, you walk to your hauler, you put your suit on, you walk from the hauler to the car, and from the car to the hauler, and from the hauler home. And I can't wait to walk in the racetrack with my head up and just look around because I really have never done that. So it's I think for them is probably the best advice I can give them is to try to have fun because it's not always going to be fun. There's always going to be something that's hard, and in order to be good at this, it's not going to be fun most of the time. So I don't know that answers your question, but I think he likes to listen to anybody but me. Yeah. So, but he listens, and I think as he listens, but doesn't want you to think he's listening, which I'm the same way. So. It's fine. But, I think for me, I've learned that I don't need to be the coach. I need to coach through the coach, put him around the people that I can trust with what I think is the right way to teach the right methods because you're going to get a lot further. So that to me is a better strategy, thanks to Jeff Burton.
All right, apologies. We are not going to get to all the questions. We probably could spend an entire hour in here talking with Kevin. So, Kelly, I believe you have something for Kevin as we wrap here. But obviously, we don't want to make you late for your final practice session. But hopefully, you'll spend a little bit of time with us on Sunday once you get out of the car. All right, Kelly.
Thank you, Amanda. Kevin, I'm here on behalf of the NMPA. You've won our Driver of the Year award 2, 3, 4, 7 times, I believe it is. Our members over the last couple weeks wanted to put something together for you. It is a congratulations on a Hall of Fame career, and now welcome to the dark side of being one of us. There's also 2 very important pieces of things in here. We wanted to be the first ones to present you with a media hard card instead of a driver hard card. You might want to look on the back, though. There's a disclaimer that I don't know if this is actually going to get you access to anything. Yeah. And then we've also stuck in here an application to join the NMPA. We know you're good for it, but promptness is appreciated when it comes to your $60. So again, congratulations and enjoy.